Today we are joined by new head women's tennis coach, Carl Clifton Soderstrom, as the Vikings look to embark on the very first season for women's tennis in quite some time here for the Vikings. But again, it's a very exciting time for North Park here in the Vikings with women's tennis. So, Carl, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. It's the day before our first match tomorrow against Dominicans, so there's a lot of energy and excitement going on right now. So,
Yeah, I know tennis hasn't been here in quite some time, but what are your expectations now going into the first year for women's tennis at North Park?
Yeah, we had for the first year back of the program, we had a really good recruiting year. So most of our team is pretty young. So the majority are in their first year here at North Park. But we have some really solid players, and we sort of drew from all over the country and even the world to put this team together. So things are looking good.
Mm-hmm. Talk a bit about some of the players you have. How many are on the roster total now for this year?
Okay, so we have 9 on the roster total.
Okay.
In Division III college women's tennis, there's 6 starting singles.
Okay.
And then 3 doubles teams.
Okay.
So usually made up of some combination of the full roster.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're some of our sort of players we're excited about that joined North Park. One is Lisa Daniels from South Africa.
Oh, wow, okay.
We have Garrett Gessert, who is was a student here at North Park. Thought that she had to give up tennis. She was a really excellent player in high school, made it to a state championship.
Okay.
And but now she's all excited as a junior to join back on the team. And then there's a whole range of other players too. So,
Talk about just a little bit about your background for tennis here. I know that you were a player here a while back when you were a student. Talk a bit about what that will bring, your former playing career here, what that will bring to your coaching as head tennis coach here at North Park.
Yeah, so I played all 4 years when I was here. Started all 4 years on the tennis team here. In our very first year, we were dead last in the conference. We went to the conference tournament. Didn't win a single match. We had a new coach at that time, Bob Farrington. And over the next 3 years, we built up the team, and eventually a number of us got second in the conference. We had one of the best records that North Park has ever had in tennis. So I think having that kind of experience for myself, for being in a program that was just starting out and in a real building year, and then taking it in just a few years to that kind of level was certainly a kind of inspiring memory of my own experience here at North Park.
Yeah, talk a little bit too about your graduate assistant now, Yannick Goosens. I hope I said his name correctly. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's Yannick.
Okay, Yannick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, talk a bit about. I see that he's got an incredible background from tennis, playing Division I tennis at Cleveland State, and being a coach at Nicholls State University. Talk a bit about what he's going to bring to this program for the ladies.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate to have Yannick joining us. He's a graduate student here that's also going to be coaching with me. He had a sort of stellar career in Division I tennis, was number 1 singles at his team, and won the conference championship. He even entered the Pro Tour for a while in Europe and tried that out for a year.
Wow. Okay.
And had some success there, but it's a pretty grueling sort of schedule to keep up. So he's recently sort of made the decision and commitment to go into coaching in that. So he's still a pretty competitive player, but he came here with having coached a full year the women's team, Division I women's team. So he's got a real sort of technical sense of the game and is going to bring that kind of strength to our team.
Talking about some of the opponents you guys are going to be playing now, obviously a rigorous CCIW schedule is ahead of you, but talk about some of the non-conference opponents you guys are going to have, starting with Dominican tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, so we start against Dominican. Dominican is a competitive team, pretty similar to the CCIW lineup. Later in the season, we'll also be playing against Judson and also Roosevelt University right here in Chicago. So as a sort of new program and not having seen much of these teams play, we have a sense of their record from what we've looked at. But they should be, pretty much in our ballpark, and it should offer us some good competition. It really comes down to usually in tennis, the depth of the squad.
Okay.
So most schools have some pretty solid top players, and it's how deep into the roster they're able to play that's going to be sort of where we really see how things pan out.
Okay. Yeah, then talk about, too, a little bit about the upcoming conference schedule. I mean, I know it's like I said before, it's a pretty tough schedule. You got some pretty top teams in this conference. What do you think you guys are going to have to be able to do to, get in that top 3, that top 4 to be competitive in the conference?
Yeah, so how the CCIW works is, and in many of our sports, we're one of the most competitive Division III conferences out there, and tennis is the same way there. For women's tennis, we have a conference match that involves all 8 teams in the conference in the fall, but the top 4 teams from that fall conference tournament advance in the spring to a sort of mini tournament, which then will seed the national tournament. And we have an automatic seed for the champion of the CCIW.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting and a good challenge to set forth. But, there's some really good teams. I mean, Wheaton has a solid program. They've won the conference tournament, for years and years now. Augustana has been kind of their main competitor, and so those 2 teams are kind of the sort of 2 strongest programs historically. But, we have to see, how this season pans out. So.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, you guys don't play on campus anymore like you used to. I know that there was tennis courts on North Park's campus, but talk a bit about what you guys are going to be able to do being playing over at Northeastern Illinois University, what that'll be able to do for the girls. Just kind of an advantage that'll give them being right down the street, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just as close as the football field is to the main part of campus. It's just a few blocks away. So it's been really nice to have these courts to share them with Northeastern. They're really good quality courts, and we're going to be able to put up our banners and get a sense of school spirit there too. So as I've told the girls, it really is it's their courts, it's their home courts, and they should feel a sense of ownership of that. So hopefully with some victories as we start to build those up, they'll really get a sense of pride about that place.
Okay. All right, Carl, thanks so much for taking the time today, and we hope that you come on out and support the Vikings in their first season here with North Park Women's Tennis.